Welcome everybody to the Future Check podcast. This is the first one, so we appreciate you joining us for this show. Today I got with me Ben Klein, who is the founder and CEO of Mugsy Media Corporation. He also did some work for Barstool Sports, as well as Marvel and Saturday Night Live. So Ben Klein, thank you very much for coming on the show. How you doing today? What's going on?
Thanks for having me, Jared. I'm doing great. Happy to be here with a great crew.
Yeah, no, this is amazing. I'm super excited to talk with you today about just what's going on in your life right now, because you and we got some exciting things happening, especially with our collaboration with BFG. But before we get into that, I just I want the audience to know what we were talking about prior to this. So, we both huge movie guys. I mean, just film
Big time.
enthusiasts. And two films that stand out to us that we were talking about include Babylon and The Fabelmans. So, Ben, just let's go through your thoughts of Babylon, just right off the bat.
It's going to be looked back on very fondly. They didn't execute the marketing as well as they could have. But damn, that movie's a fun ride. You agree?
It's a cinematic masterpiece. I'm a little biased, though, just because Damien Chazelle, he's my favorite director.
Yeah, that's your guy.
He's my guy. That's where the inspiration comes for this upcoming movie that we're making. But that movie in itself it's long, but if you see that in theaters, it's
it's a
that's
ride.
experience.
It's a ride. You could see why some people would say parts of it are too on the nose, and I'd agree even to certain notes of the film, but overall you watch it and it's like that all-star cast fucking crushes it, and it's exciting from beginning to end. And that Tobey Maguire sequence,
Oh my gosh. Yeah,
phenomenal.
No, he just that came out of left field. I didn't even expect that. So when that happened, it was just like, damn, this star-studded cast, and obviously everyone goes crazy for Margot Robbie. And you got Brad Pitt as well. So star-studded cast, cinematography obviously on point. It's a Damien Chazelle movie, so colors are popping. And just what an experience.
Yeah, absolutely. When it's looked back on fondly, we liked it in 2022 when it came out.
Right. Regardless of what the critics have to say.
Yeah.
And the other one is Fabelmans. So that one, honestly, that's been my favorite movie I've probably seen in the last year. Because just as as a filmmaker, just trying to navigate the industry and trying to make it out there, it was super cool to see that story of Spielberg and the way he interpreted that come up. I don't know, how did you view the film as in general, just from a story standpoint, and also just personally, because as us being young filmmakers, I think it was something that was really cool for us to look at.
Yeah, no, I thought it was excellent. It's funny watching Spielberg's movie dad tell him that filmmaking is a hobby and he should get a more comfortable job. That last scene with John Ford is just insane, and Spielberg was just accepting some award, and he was talking about how he wouldn't tell a young up-and-coming filmmaker to get the fuck out of his office as Ford did, which immediately gave me the urge to bust the door open his office, see if he means it. But yeah, that movie's exhilarating and definitely inspiring.
Yeah. No, and that scene that you talk about specifically, I mean, just the dialogue from that alone, I mean, it was killer. The idea of just perspective, where you're positioning the camera in a frame, and that's why it was cool, that closing shot. It's the horizon, right?
No. Where's the horizon?
Where's the horizon? Yeah. And that last shot, the camera subtly, it changes, that little jolt. So that was super cool. Shout out to the Fabelmans, shout out to Babylon. But let's get into this. More on Ben Klein, because he is directing the next movie from Badger Film Group. Ben, let's talk about this. So, what's going through your mind right now as we go through this development process?
I mean, this is so much fun. Jared knows I'm one who gets such a kick out of arguing for the best possible idea. Sometimes I won't even be passionate on one side or the other, and I'll just freaking argue because it's so fun. And, that's the kind of thing that breeds greatness, when you actually start to think about the little details and how they could add to the greater story. That's what really makes a film special. And I think that this film, really illustrates that more so than anything else I've worked on recently.
Oh my gosh, yeah. This is something we've dedicated our lives to for the last 4 or 5 months. Just going over every little detail. And what's special about you, Ben, is that like you said, you love to put up that argument, and it's that concept of devil's advocate, because a lot of people, they're like, let's just move on to that next idea. We'll come back to it in a little bit, but no, you fight till it's right, and that's what I love about you. And another thing too is if you guys didn't know this, but Ben, he's super involved in the NFT community. And he just had a short film that was selected at the Paris Short Film Festival. So congratulations on that.
Thank you very much.
Super, super cool. And it's super experimental with what he's doing. So that's why when I was thinking about who I want to direct this next Badger Film Group production, I was like, I want to spice it up a bit. And I know Ben brings a very special element to the table, just based on the way, he goes about storylines and also just camera movement and angles. I know, a potential, well, actually, I don't want to say this because I don't want to say anything about casting, but I was told that in one of your past productions, there was a certain way you were standing on a ladder or something. Do you want to, explain that, with camera movement? What was going on in this?
Well, that production, I created a very elaborate ladder dolly rig because I didn't like the dolly that was provided to us in our film production class. So I propped up our camera on these 2 wooden planks on the top level of a ladder. But the problem is a ladder, when there's weight on it, it's meant to drop down and the wheels don't work anymore to, avoid someone falling. So we had to have 2 people, on either side lifting it to make sure that the heavy, we had like a 60-pound rig up there, wasn't weighing it down. But yeah, we made it work. We nailed the shot. It was this beautiful overhead, like you're a ghost floating over these clothing racks, watching all these different people. And yeah, it worked. Obviously I think looking back on it, I often feel like we could have done it better in a couple ways, but it's always fun. There's always a way to get the shot you want.
Always. And that's another thing. I mean, this man, when I talk, we met literally a year ago, last summer, right?
Yeah.
And that's always been the mindset, and that's been the connection between you and me. It's like nothing's impossible.
Nothing.
Nothing
could stop.
Nothing could stop us. If we have a vision in our head and we want to execute it, it's gonna happen. Blood, sweat, tears, beg, borrow, steal. We're making it happen regardless, and you can't stop us. And that's another thing. As a director, it can be complicated when you got a lot of voices around you. And through your production history and what I've gone through, I've totally seen that where everyone's they're trying to get their input, and you got to figure out a middle ground where you can incorporate their creative ideas, but as well as making sure your original vision is still intact.
Mm-hmm. Always listen.
Always
listen. Listening. Sometimes when people most of the time people give input, it's phenomenal. But the challenge of being a director is you're really the only one who has that full cohesive vision of every single element in scenes that others might not be thinking about. So an arrogant director doesn't listen, and that's something I'll always make an effort, and I will never do. The question is, do you act on suggestions? And, you can't take ideas personally. If you love something and you came up with it, doesn't matter. If you love something because it's a good idea, doesn't matter who came up with it. If it was you, if it was a screenwriter, co-director, editor, whoever it is, some man on the street. I was just watching the film Bullets Over Broadway, the Woody Allen movie, where he's a struggling Broadway musical or playwright. And he gets a mafia guy to start writing the script, and the mafia guy is really profound and to the point, and finally launches this guy's career to a high point. So never hesitate on who's giving you the advice. Always listen and do with it as must.
I agree, and that's actually, it's so ironic. I literally just reposted something on my story the other day that Rick Rubin posted on his Instagram, and it's that in a collaboration, whatever idea, if it's not yours, it's someone else's, whatever idea comes about, if it's the best idea, that's a win. It might not be your idea,
mm-hmm.
but if you're able to make that agreement that someone else's idea was more fit for that concept or for that theme you're trying to convey, that's where the art comes into play.
Yeah, it's amazing. When someone says something wrong with an idea I have, I want to kiss them. Because it's like, dude, I was about to fumble the bag on that. Thank you for calling me out for that. I will absolutely make that adjustment, and that's I really try to prioritize that.
Yeah, and we just went through something like that last night with our development. We're going over the last scene of the movie, and there's 7 different ways we can pull it off. And with you, you would listen to both sides, and then you stayed persistent as we kept explaining, but you weren't opposed to another thought coming into play.
Never.
And that's what I love too, because I know a lot of people they stand on their high horse like, whoa, you're trying to mess up my vision. That was never the case.
Never. No, it's just
right.
If I believe something, you bet your ass I'm gonna challenge it. But it's all in the name of intellectual stimulation and in the name of trying to come up with the best idea. And it's all right, here's my pitch for why this is the best idea. if you prove me wrong, I will be thrilled because that means you made the movie even better, and that's a win for everybody.
That's it. And it's like, I think another thing that's special about you as well, it's something that you always say is much love, much love. I feel like that's your motto. And I love that because when it comes to Badger Film Group and the community and the culture we've been creating and continue to create, that's what it takes. It's love, it's passion, it's that will and need to just keep creating. And it all stems from, it's love. So for you, going into this production, it's going to be happening post spring break. How do you envision, setting up things and making sure, keeping that motto intact? Because things, we all know they get rough. But for you in the past, like what's worked in keeping that mentality and keeping up the positivity?
Well, I'm definitely going to be collaborating a lot with our co-director, Blake Switzer, who's a genius. That kid's a legend, and so grateful to be working with him and have him on our team. But as for, just the mental capacity that you need to be on a film set, production is hell. It's war. It's murder. But if you have that love that we're talking about, that love for the production, that love for the idea, and that love for creation, that means that at that moment where you're 3 days no sleep,
Right.
and you're at your wit's end, and something's not really working, you can't figure it out, and you just want to like go home and go to sleep. That's kind of the moment where, as a director, you have to step up, be a leader, and take that deep breath and show your strength. I have a funny story about the NFT film I worked on, where we were shooting a scene in Central Park, and for the people who know production, sometimes it's just not working. If it was a script, it's definitely my fault because I was doing a lot of stuff, but I'm in terms of pre-production. But the script was iffy. People were messing up lines. The camera there was a problem with every single take. It's like that scene in Babylon,
right,
when they keep trying to get it perfect and there's an issue with sound because they're evolving
and the camera breaks.
Exactly.
What do we do?
So this didn't end with the camera guy dying, but it was just like we were doing this scene and it was very stressful and tensions were high. It was like 6 a.m. We'd been up since 4. We had a long day ahead of us. And we complete the scene, we finally got it after like 30 takes. And we had the next scene to be shot in Sheep's Meadow in Central Park. We go to Sheep's Meadow. Tensions are a little bit high. Like people are kind of just like walking alone, taking a breath, coming to terms with the fact like, all right, back to it. It's a job is a job. And Sheep's Meadow's closed for fertilizer. And obviously I didn't get any permit. We were winging it. We were prepared, but, we didn't talk to the state and have to pay for a permit. So everyone's looking at me like, all right, what now? And this, like I said, is right on the end of that past scene. And, I take a deep breath. I'm like, all right, everyone, I'm going to solve this. I'll be back in 2 minutes. And I walk over like 15 feet to the side. Obviously, I'm freaking out of the inside. Like, shit, what's going on? But, kept my composure, took a deep breath. And literally, as if like clouds parted and God shined a ray of sunlight, I saw the pedicabs, the guys who ride the horses with the carriages in Central Park. And, it was like a light bulb moment. So I immediately sprint down. I grab a release from a producer and get this really awesome guy, Mo, to sign off the release and, restructure the scene a little bit so it takes place on a moving pedicab, zooming through Central Park. And it's just funny because that's an example of something in film where it's like, that's a battle, The Central Park fired their guns after me. And, you got to keep your composure. You got to think about what's best for the film. You have to be a leader. You have to, talk to everybody. And that ended up being one of my favorite scenes in the film. We didn't have room for everybody, so half the crew was actually able to take a break and grab some lunch or get an extended lunch. And it was just like, when you keep your composure and you think on your toes, which you're going to have to do when you're creating a film, it's all about, doing what's best for the movie. And sometimes, oftentimes it'll just work out in ways that you never expected.
That's, that right there, knowledge for you folks. That right there, that's the essence of an incredible filmmaker. It's the by any means necessary approach.
Literally.
And it's also, it's very evident you're just a brave dude. When you go, like you said, it's battle. So you gotta stay composed even when the going gets rough. And internally, if it's if something's off, you gotta externally show that it's gonna be okay. You gotta be reassuring and. That's why, I'm just so confident for our film to thrive. And I've got really high expectations. I think, as Badger Film Group has grown over the year and a half, it's been incredible to see how we've taken a leap from each film. And I feel like we've finally gotten to a point now where we're at a place where we've hit the gap, like the ceiling for student film, and it's like now it's time to explode. And I'm so confident, having you on board, having Blake, our writers, with Charlie and Zach. It's been such a cool process because everything, other productions, some of them have felt a little rushed. Or, with Watch Out, it was on the spot. We were changing things left and right, and that was fun. As we said, you kind of have to troubleshoot at points. But what's really cool about this is that everything has been really thought out to a T.
Mm-hmm.
And for me personally, I'm always like the type of guy who just wants to get stuff done. Let's do.
I know.
Like we're run and gun. But with this, I've had to learn patience to a whole different level.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been a cool process. So it's really exciting. And I guess my question for you is, as a second semester senior, you're gonna leave here pretty soon. What are the expectations or the goals you have for yourself and for the film group as you lead through this upcoming project?
Damn, I mean it's hitting hard now. I'm 2 months away from never taking a class again in my entire life. Well, I know I'm never gonna want to stop learning. Even when school ends, like there's always more to learn. There's always mistakes to be made that I'll learn from. But as long as I'm continuing to create and I have the ability to come up with an idea or be pitched an idea and be a part of making that, something that starts as synapse shooting neurotransmitters into a palpable thing that people can consume, that's where the magic is. So moving forward, we're going to crush this film. It's really special. It's different from some of my past work, and like it's dark in a more profound way. I'm used to just like, cut him open, chop his head off, string him by his intestines, stuff like that. But this is much more toned down, in terms of violence, but psychologically it's really deep and hits. So really excited about that. I'm going to continue growing Mugsy Media Corp. The feedback that we got from our most recent film has been nothing short of phenomenal. Met some really brilliant people, and I've continued to grow my board now that I have the film to show, because that's the thing that's special, and that's the thing that drew me to you. Because when we first met, when you first reached out and called me last summer, I was in the midst of building a board, founding an NFT project, building a website, getting an artist, and also producing and directing the whole film. So that was like one of the craziest times in my life. And you're like, hey, you want to join this film? And I'm like, I love you. For those of you who don't know, I met Jared, and we were like, we'll hop in a call. I'm like, I don't know this kid. I'll talk to him for like 5-10 minutes, see what his deal is. We ended up talking for like 3 hours. And in this call, Jared explains his hopes and dreams to direct a feature film, start a clothing line, open a restaurant, fucking run a I don't know. He listed like 10 things, and like I loved that about him. I was like, there's not that many people who will unapologetically be like, I'm a beast. I'm gonna be a beast. Like I'm gonna do, the absolute maximum that I'm capable of. So I definitely liked him from the start. I just didn't have the capacity to help with Watch Out. But we stayed in touch. I showed out to the premiere. I was like, damn, that was really impressive. Let's get it better next time, though. There's always room for improvement. And I knew that we had to collaborate, and he knew it too. And, we immediately spoke. But as for what I'm doing in my future, there's a lot to be done of this found footage cinematic universe that I've developed with the Wacko Worms, and how the cinema verite and its realism is perpetuated in a completely new way, using the incontrovertible transactions of the blockchain. So that's something that's really special. And, it really meant a lot to me as someone who's always been watching found footage horror films since I was too young to be watching them, to have done my part in, advancing them, growing them, and not just making a website or a social media account, but have the real film and its events be true using this awesome new technology. And, I want to experiment with AI. You see right now, this is the AI boom. A lot of filmmakers are saying, oh, it's ruining the industry. Oh, this. Probably right. Don't care. You cannot run away from innovation. Never. That's literally, that's loser talk, Right. We have AI. It's a win for me because I'm not great with CGI. And, we have a couple sequences in our film where special effects wise, I know that AI is going to absolutely help us out. And I know, on the back end, we're going to get a kick out of that because we're going to be pioneering, everything in terms of doing what we're doing at our age is already something that, hasn't really been done, let alone the way we're going to implement tech and just all these crazy tools that we now have at our fingertips, in this absurd day and age we live in.
It's truly unreal. And that's the impressive part about what we're doing. I never, when I look back, when I'm about to go to sleep each night and I see like what we're up to, it's history. Like this is historic. And what you're doing, especially with this AI space and Web3 and NFTs, this is trend setting. This is something that's going to make the industry react. And for better or for worse, it's going to shake things up a bit.
Big time.
And that's why, it's just better to be proactive on this stuff and for you to just nosedive into this and just, do your thing relentlessly. And you even went to London a few months back to speak on this. So I just think it's really cool how you're just immersing yourself into this space because, look at right now, 21, 22, 20 years old, we got Al and Jay here, like all college students. But if we're ahead on this wave, this is huge for the future of what we make. And the improvements, especially when it comes to AI, I've seen Instagram clips where people literally, like, their eye contact will not be at the screen, but they could be moved to literally looking straight there.
Dude, on that note, that's like 1% of it. Think about this. All right, I'm making a movie. My line is, "Hey, Jared, you're a piece of shit." All right.
Thanks,
now
man.
you want to do the PG-13. You want to do a PG version. AI will take the actor's voice and mimic their mouth movements. So, "Hey, Jared, you're a piece of crud," and the mouth will say crud and the voice will say crud. Now, you want to do it in Spanish? "Jared, tú eres un paz de," whatever. You can absolutely manipulate all of this. And you're just using AI. And that's not to mention, I film you walking down the street and using, runway Gen 1 technology. You type in, "Make this look like claymation." And it turns you into a stop motion claymation piece. It's really cool. I was just talking to a friend of mine who's a filmmaker, Oren Cohen, who just made a film using like 25 different AI softwares. And you watch it and you see how you can capitalize on your own creativity using this, and it's more accessible than ever, and it's wonderful. It's really special. Like, think if Spielberg had it in The Fabelmans,
yeah, exactly what he did.
We would have gotten E.T. when he was like 9.
Can you imagine that? No, that's what's really cool too about like the industry today and just technology in film, is that you can pretty much just shoot a film whenever. Like back 20 years ago, 30 years back, it was an entire process. Not that it's not a process anymore. It's just more accessible. It's more tangible for filmmakers that just want to try it, just to start off. And that's always been my approach because, us being at Wisconsin, not the biggest film school, I always felt like there was a space to create a film hub. Just because of the people, the culture, just the vibe you have here, just State Street, the Capitol building, the lakes. So I saw it as a landscape, as a place where we can really build our own foundation of film. And there are cameras accessible to us. There's audio equipment. There's the people, the passionate people. So when we put it all together, we can't be stopped. And it's just
nothing can stop.
Nothing can stop us. As we said, it's just about learning and connecting. And just to keep you guys in the loop with what I'm up to, I'm actually shooting a short film, a Western in Tucson in 2 weeks. And the whole concept of just technology influencing this accessibility is what's key to me, because at this point, my whole vision is to make Madison that film hub, but connect us with other places throughout the country so that we can almost create a Big Ten conference of film. So
it's awesome.
And it's really exciting. So it's essentially, picture this. We have, schools, Arizona State, we have Indiana, we have a Tulane, and you have all these filmmakers who are in different places, but they're connected through each other and they can work together on projects. So that way, when they're funneled out of this collegiate system, they can work together.
Yeah.
So you don't have to go to USC or NYU and you get the name. It's like, oh, you were part of that Big Ten conference of film. Oh, so you have an idea what you're doing. So these people, they've been working together since they're freshmen in college. Now they're already out on the scene. They're ready to work together.
Yeah, totally. Totally. And that's special. It's great for just meeting people, the Big Ten network. But, in the film world, there's kind of people are composed or they're kind of compelled also to keep to themselves because it's scary when you're creating art. Are people gonna like it? Are they not gonna like it? If they don't like it, am I stupid? Am I not talented? So people often keep to themselves, but this whole changing the approach to collaboration and encouraging it, because we've both talked about experiences doing stuff on your own. It's so much better to do stuff with a team, so much better.
So much better. I mean, from experience, I think I did like a few independent projects in high school when it came to like news packages and documentaries. But when you're making like a narrative, I think that it's so hard. And we keep going back to the movie you made just this last summer that, went to the Paris Short Film Awards. You pretty much did every little detail to that project. Your hands were in every position. And then what I was explaining to you, and I think what's really awesome about this upcoming project is that there are so many more resources for you.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw with the resources you had at your disposal for the last project versus what you're about to have, it's like putting a kid in a candy shop.
No, absolutely. Because now I could just focus 10 times more on, as simple as it is, what is in the frame,
Right.
Whereas back then I'm dealing, with the business side of Mugsy Media Corp and the NFTs and managing of the NFT artists and who are all amazing people. It's more of just like, it all takes time, to give everyone the time they deserve. You have to sacrifice your own time. And now, having Zach and Charlie, who are so amazing, and Switz, and you who get shit together, and just makes it happen. It's a dream come true, which is why this is going to be such a great experience.
I'm excited. So I would say, I guess last question before we wrap it up.
Sure.
For this specific project, I'm going to tell you guys what it's about. So it's about this college freshman. He's going into his second semester of college, and he's a theater kid. He loves acting. He loves performance. And, he feels like he's not really getting that college experience that you would normally see on like a Snapchat or Instagram or Barstool, any of that. So what he does is he starts veering towards a faster crowd, and he starts getting roped into Greek life, and attractive girls, kind of corrupting him. And
a dark side of Greek life, not a fun frat, like a bad frat.
Yeah, we
like a bad crew.
So yeah, the darkness plays in with Ben. His whole taste for that spice that I talk about for the darkness. So what this kid throughout the movie, he's trying to navigate himself, where his values lie, his priorities, through this identity crisis, and it really boils down to this. And you're just gonna have to see what happens, but.
That's enough.
That's it. You
get ahead of yourself. We can't be talking too much.
You're going to see.
You're going to love the film.
You're going to love it. But for you, what would you say, like, what are you most excited about within the film? And I guess if there's any goals you have for the film or expectations,
Only goal for the film is to get it done. What happens after that, it's beyond our control. I just want to watch it and enjoy it. We're making this movie for us. We don't care. Or like, I know we feel the same way on that,
Right.
We're making this movie to prove to ourselves that we can make it professional, make it look good, make it feel good. But goals for the film, I want it to be a vivid, continuous dream. I want to use AI for visual effects, for some of those wacky scenes we have,
Oh yeah.
And I'm just really excited to work with a new pool of actors. I haven't really worked with that many older actors. We have a wide range of a diverse cast that we're still putting together. But it's a new step. This is the biggest project I've worked on from a film perspective so far. So I love a challenge. I love excitement. I love everything that comes along with this process. Even the bad stuff. I said earlier, production is hell. Give me some hell. I love that. Nothing gets you more stimulated and excited, and that's what I live for.
Yeah, it makes it sweeter, and we don't have an exact date for when it's coming out, but plan on end of spring, early summer. So keep your eyes out for that. We'll obviously be posting on the Badger Film Group account because we want to keep you guys in the loop. That's the whole purpose of this podcast. Future Check is essentially you're getting the chance to check in on what the future of the world is going to be through this podcast. Creators and just artists in general, they're going to come on here like Ben and explain what they're up to, what they're excited for, And, you know, in 20 years or 30 years down the line, or even in 2 weeks, you'll be able to check back in with, you know, what that future was.
Well, thanks for having me, Jared. This has been a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you for coming on, Ben.
And thank you, Jay and Al. You guys are
Yeah.
phenomenal.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate you. So thank you guys for tuning in to the Future Check podcast. We hope to see you guys next week. And the guest is TBD. So stay tuned. Have a good night.
Thank you.